Hi everyone, it's Erin, and today I am replicating Scott Will's background art for Samurai Jack. So this is really exciting because we're working from a new artist, and Samurai Jack is one of my all-time favorite animated series. I have some flathead brushes here, so these are watercolor brushes in various sizes. I have a couple of round brushes here. For some of the detailed work. And then I'm also using these acrylic brushes that are a bit rougher and using them for the dry brush effect. And I've actually cut the end of this one off and then cut into it to create more texture. It's actually how I cut my bangs. And I've got some yogurt lids here, and I've got my acrylic gouache ready to go. And I did my nails, but look how crappy of a job I did. And that's because I just had LASIK eye surgery. I'll be talking more about that later. Yeah, so I'm making the background color here, which is mostly white, a little bit of yellow, and a tiny little kiss of cyan. I chose this piece for a few reasons. Number one, I really wanted to start branching out to new artists, and Scott Wills has worked on 3 of my favorite animated series. So Samurai Jack is incredible. If you haven't seen it, I highly, highly recommend it. There's barely any dialogue. The dialogue that's in there is so smart and funny, and it's beautiful. It's a really beautiful series. And I'm pretty into all things Japanese. I went there when I was in my early 20s, and I was actually a showgirl. Yeah, it almost sounded like I was going to say shogun, which would be cooler, probably a shogun. But I was a showgirl in Japan, doing sort of like Las Vegas-y type shows and singing karaoke and working at a hostess bar. And there's a lot of stories there, but that's not what this channel is about. But I really loved it, and I've always wanted to go back as an artist and capture the landscapes and just how different it is. It's such an incredibly inspiring place. So I'm going back in September, really stoked. I have like just so much to plan, and I'm really fixated on it right now. So that's one of the reasons I chose this piece. And I'm making this color here to do the dry brush, and I used olive. Acrylic gouache, but if you don't have olive, you can just use cyan, yellow, and a little bit of red. So the red desaturates that green. And I've used this dry brush, and I'm using a small one just to sort of block in the edge of the rocky cliffs in the background here. And now I'm using a larger brush, and I don't put the brush in any water. So the brush is completely dry. Dip it into the paint mixture, and then pat off some of the excess onto a paper towel, and then just go for it here. And as I've said in other videos, I love doing this dry brush effect because it's really foolproof. You can't screw it up. I mean, you can kind of overdo it and then you lose that texture, but it's hard to overdo it because you're doing it in stages, and then you say, oh, okay, this is perfect. And it just really, it's so fantastic in a piece like this because it's giving so much texture to that rock in the background. Mine actually has a bit more texture than Scott Will's, so maybe he should be watching my videos. I'm just joking. He actually has his own YouTube channel, which I'm going to check out. I made a little mess there. Oops. That's because I just got LASIK. I can't see anything. This video it's almost like a joke, me making this, because I did this 2 days after the surgery, and I really had like very limited vision. My vision was very blurry. I actually have lost my close-up vision almost entirely, so I'll need reading glasses. So is LASIK worth it? I'll let you know next month, because at this point I'm still healing and it's kind of bugging me, but it is pretty cool to be able to see far away. Anyway, so bringing in the white water here, and the water sort of splashing and frothing around the waterfall. What I love about Scott Will's his work, he works almost exclusively in acrylic gouache. He doesn't usually do his backgrounds digitally, so he paints these very small paintings for the background art. And yeah, I love that. I love that he's using traditional media to create his backgrounds, and they're incredible. I mean, his blends and his textures, also his colors. He's like a master of color. This piece in particular, one of my favorite combinations is red and green together. These complementary colors creating a beautiful harmony with this sort of toned down olive green. And then when you see, I'll be painting in this very red, like tomato red, and the two they look so beautiful together. Yeah, so the LASIK eye surgery, just a little bit about it if you're curious. Um, I won't get too, I won't talk too much about the actual procedure because it's really intense. And I think collectively, as like a society, we've sort of convinced ourselves that LASIK is a very simple operation. You're in and out, and it takes like one day to heal. Yeah, not really the case. It was super intense. I said no to the sedatives, which was a mistake. I'm not really scared when it comes to things like operations and needles and things going in my eye. And I, I, I assumed I'd be fine, but by the time I went into the operating room to get it done, it was really scary. And it felt like I was in sort of like an 80s tech kind of drama slash horror movie. I keep thinking of like War Games or Daryl, which aren't horrors, but these movies where like you see a lot of kind of cheap computer graphics or like grids and lasers. And so that I kept sort of thinking about that to try to get me through the procedure, but it was really intense. And yeah, the afterwards, the afterwards, post-op was more difficult than expected. But anyway, I'm here. I survived, and here I am painting just 2 days later. The very next day, I actually went to a roller skating rave for my friend's 50th birthday. That was a mistake. I lasted about 20 minutes. I'm doing the water now, and I'll talk about this part because for this, I did water down my gouache a little bit more so that I could get a smoother stroke. I loved painting this traditional Japanese pattern for water. It was really fun, very simple. I just looked at the reference and just went for it. I twisted my brush so that I'd get a nice pointy edge or pointy tip to be able to do this more detailed work. And yeah, love the way that turned out. The rest of the painting, you know, pretty sloppy, I have to say. The background foolproof. The foreground that I'm doing here, these sort of rocky, sharper sort of rocky landscape in the foreground was quite easy to do because I'm using my angled brush and simple shapes. But the castle itself and the windows, I really was having a hard time seeing what I was doing, so that's quite rushed and a little sloppy. But overall, I think this is turning out to be a pretty neat piece, very simple. The roofs that I'm about to do, so this is it's a Japanese temple or fortress or palace, and the tops of the roof, so this is the sort of Japanese style pagodas, and I looked up, I was trying to figure out what these roofs are called specifically, but it was impossible. There was like 10 different words for different little parts of these roofs. So forgive me for not knowing the correct terminology, but yeah, when I go to Japan in September, I'll try to do some, I'll try to find out what the correct terminology is. But I'm really stoked because I'm going to be walking the Nakasendo Trail, which is the old merchant path from Nagano to Tokyo, which was then called Edo, and it's this really beautiful trail, and I'll be doing about 4 days of it, going from these small towns slash villages, and yeah, it's gonna be gorgeous. I'm just gonna be painting the whole time. I'm really excited for that. Before I finish this, I just wanted to say, if you have any artists that you'd like me to try to replicate, please let me know in the comments below. Also, if you have any questions about LASIK eye surgery, I obviously like talking about it, so go ahead and ask me those questions. And yeah, last stage here is just adding this darker red. I just added a little bit of black to the red to create the darker shade. So when we add black, we call it a shade. When we add white, we call it a tint. And this is just for the shadowing on the roofs. So there we go. Overall, sort of okay, I guess, but I will be doing another one of these soon. I'm going to try to do the next one in a few weeks from now, since this one was so quick and rough. But I hope you liked it, and let me know again if you have any artists that you want me to replicate. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hope you all have a good day, and I'll see you soon. See you. Get it? See you because of my eyes? Get it? All right. Bye, everyone.